Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we'll start with the mandibular first molar as we have done with the maxillary first molar. So here we go with the mandibular first molar. As you all know, this is the first tooth to erupt in the oral cavity, first permanent tooth that erupts in the at the age of 6 to 7 years. The initiation calcification takes place at birth. ठीक है. Birth में जो है at the time of birth its calcification takes place, and the enamel completion occurs at the age of 2 to 3 years, and the eruption occurs 6 to 7 years, and the completion route जो है as you all know it takes is 2 to 3 years after the eruption, and it the roots get की development जो है वो 9 to 10 years तक complete हो जाती है. Okay, now we will study the individual views of this mandible. As we have studied the maxillary first molar, now we'll study the mandibular first molar. It is the strongest tooth and the largest of all. It has got the greatest mesiodistal dimension than any other tooth in the oral cavity. You can see it is its mesiodistal dimension is greatest of any other tooth in the oral cavity, and we can see the we can see that it has got 5 cusps and 2 roots, which is visible from this buccal view. The 5 cusps are the mesiobuccal cusp, the distobuccal cusp, right, and the distal cusp, right. These cusps are visible from the buccal view, and a bit of the lingual cusps are also visible, which are the mesiolingual cusp and the distolingual cusp. A part of mesiolingual and distolingual cusp are visible from the buccal view. The shape of the buccal view is trapezoidal in shape. As we have studied all the teeth, the buccal view was trapezoidal in shape, almost all of the teeth that we have studied. And now we will study the different outlines. The outline is as you all know, the mesial outline, the distal outline, and the occlusal margin. The mesial outline is concave from this cervical line up to the contact area. This is the contact area of the mandibular first molar on the mesial outline, which is present at the junction of occlusal and middle third. This is the contact area, and it is present at the junction of occlusal and middle third, and from this contact area onwards toward the occlusal margin the outline is convex, right. On the distal outline it is more convex, or it can show a slight flattening from the cervical area to the contact point. The contact area is also present at the junction of occlusal and middle third. Books में तो इस तरह लिखा है at the junction, but it is present at a bit cervical level. ठीक है, यहाँ पर होगा इसका contact area at the cervical level to from this mesial outline, right. So here comes the buccal view. Now we will study the grooves present on the buccal view. The buccal view contains two developmental grooves, that is the mesiobuccal developmental groove, which arises from the occlusal surface and travels over the buccal surface here and may ends in a pit or may give two branches, or simply it can fade out over the buccal surface. It travels up to the middle third of the buccal surface, and it is present in the concavity, the groove, mesiobuccal groove. Where the mesiobuccal groove is present, it is present in a occluso-cervical concavity, which is present between the two buccal ridges of these mesiobuccal and distobuccal cusp. ठीक है, जो कॉन्केविटी उसके यहाँ मीजियोबकल कस्प और डिस्टोबकल कस्प के दरमियान ये कॉन्केविटी यहाँ प्रेजेंट होती है, जहाँ पर we can find this mesiobuccal developmental groove. And the distobuccal developmental groove, it also arises from the occlusal surface and travels over the buccal surface. It may end in a pit or simply fade out over the buccal surface. The height of contour present on the mesial outline is same as was the contact area at the junction of occlusal and middle third, and on the distal surface also at the junction of occlusal and middle third. Okay, and there is the distal outline is shorter as compared to the mesial outline. Okay, and there is the two cusps, the mesiobuccal cusp and the distobuccal cusp are blunter as compared to the lingual cusp, which are sharp and more in height than the buccal cusps. And the smallest cusp, the distal cusp, is at the lower level and it is a bit sharper than the other two cusps. Okay? And the height of contour on the buccal surface is present in the cervical third area. The cervical line shows less curvature, but it shows a prominent ditch in the furcation area, and from here it travels mesiodistally on the buccal surface. Here there could be a buccogingival ridge present. Convexity or buccogingival ridge could be present in the cervical third area. Buccogingival ridge. The roots which are obvious on the buccal aspect are two roots. One is the mesial root and the other one is the distal root. The mesial root is a bit thicker and as compared to the distal root. Understand? So this was all about the buccal view of the mandibular first molar. यहाँ भी आपको देख सकते हैं, there is a concavity present between these ridges, जहाँ पर यहाँ पर developmental grooves present. This is the mesiobuccal developmental groove and this is the distobuccal developmental groove. And the height of contour is present in the cervical third